Hello and welcome. I'm Ethan7878, and it's been a while. I've been taking a little bit of a break from making videos, and it's been quite relaxing, but I want to get back into the swing of things. And if you remember, last time I showed the Moskva, I played at more of a longer range, sort of HE spammer. I ended up getting over 200,000 damage along with a Witherer. And in this match, well, at the end of that match, I promised that I would get something with a bit more armor-piercing to show off the armor-piercing power of the Moskva. And in this match, that's exactly what you're going to get. The map is Two Brothers, which is fantastic for cover. You can sort of sneak along these islands right into the cap. And I'm going to be showcasing the power of the armor-piercing on this ship. And the armor-piercing is part of the reason why people call this battleship Moskva, because not only is the armor pretty good and the health pool is pretty large, but the gunpowder is somewhat similar to a battleship. Now, the alpha damage on the armor piercing is 5,800 damage, so any overpens are 580 damage only. And I'm going to start off shooting at this Missouri. Now, he is angled and he is at 10 kilometers, which is close range, but the armor piercing can be somewhat inconsistent, so I do end up switching to high explosive, especially because we have some destroyers around this end, and if I can set a fire and get him to burn his repair, or if a torpedo makes him burn his repair, and I get a permanent fire, that would be pretty good as well. I do set one fire on him, and he repairs it immediately. And while his repair is active, I switch to armor piercing because now he's showing a pretty much flat broadside. The armor piercing goes out, and a decent 4,000 damage, you know. I've seen better. You can definitely do some massive damage. I've citadeled Kurfürsts in this thing. I've citadeled all kinds of battleships. There is a Kagero spotted inside the cap, and I switch to high explosive and I turn my guns over towards him. And I'm going to have a little bit of trouble hitting him because he isn't escaping at full speed like I was expecting him to. He's sort of at 3/4 or maybe half speed, so he's doing the wrong thing, but it ends up being beneficial for him because it throws my aim off so much. I pop my radar in order to keep him spotted for the rest of the team, and he is getting pretty low. He's only at 3,000 health. And this Kagero is doing everything wrong, and I finally catch on to the fact that he's going at not full speed, despite the thick smoke coming from his funnels, which would indicate he's running speed boost. But he doesn't go full speed. It doesn't look like he's running last stand. His engine breaks, and he turns in towards my radar and keeps himself spotted even longer, instead of just full speed running away. So that's the Kagero done, and that's my first kill. Not the first kill, we've already lost a destroyer somewhere. But now I just decide I'm gonna stay around the corner of this island and just spam this Missouri. At those kinds of long ranges, and especially when he has time to angle away, high explosive is probably your best bet, just because it's very consistent, and the fire chance is pretty good as well. Oh, bad aim on that one, actually didn't land any shells. Now the enemy team is capturing A, and that's a problem, because we only have B in our control. The enemy team is contesting D. I mean, the game is sort of even. It's within 50 points. And I'm just doing my best to work down this Missouri. But when my radar comes up in 45 seconds, I'll be popping it and trying to reset that Ognovoy, who just let himself get spotted. I do think people were trying to shoot at him, and someone does land a shell and reset him, which is great. In the meantime, I'm just shooting this Missouri constantly. Now, you might be tempted to just try and get all three guns all the time, but you have to keep in mind that there are other ships in the area, and the Ognovoy gets himself spotted again, so I pull up just a 1/4 speed, and I'm trying to get into position. I let my team know radar in 10 seconds, and the Yu Yang is trying to throw torpedoes into his smoke. I guess he doesn't realize they're deep waters, but anyway, I pop my radar, And the Ogdovoy is reversing. And I land a hit on him, get a reset, and the front gun, or the guns are about to reload. I am running the radar module, which is why my radar lasts a lot longer than the default length. And someone just landed a big 30k or something on me. I think that was the North Carolina, as I was a little bit too eager to pull up and kill this Ogdovoy. And I'm being radared by what I can only assume to be the enemy Des Moines. Now someone has left this Missouri on 18 health, and the Missouri starts healing, so this isn't even a kill steal. We just have to make sure that he doesn't recuperate and get back into the fight. So I tell my whole team, let's finish this guy, focus fire on him. I set one fire on him, and he doesn't seem to be in any hurry to repair it. So I'll just continue the high explosive, and at this range he's showing so much broadside, armor-piercing would also be a very good option in this specific case. He's continuing to shoot at me, but I am of course very well angled against him. Just barely enough to get all three turrets out. And I'm also moving ever so slightly so I can adjust my angle by a small amount if I need to. And there's the Missouri down. That's my third kill. And this game is looking pretty well in our favor. We have A and B securely held. The enemy team does have C, and no one is in D. In fact, there's a big fight going down on the 10 line apparently, judging by our ship's positioning. So now I decide that I'm going to pull forward and help our team push this side and just overwhelm the enemy. Now there's that North Carolina who dropped that nasty hit on me earlier. I want to see if I can use the island as cover and just work him down as best I can. Now there was a plane circling around, so I do get spotted every now and then. And my heal comes up. Don't quite remember if I use it right away. But there's a North Carolina. Stock hull, of course. And he's pretty much stopped, and he's going to start reversing soon, actually. So I'm not quite sure what he's doing there. I do control click on the plane to focus it down. Let's see if I can get rid of it, because it's what's causing most of my problems at this point. I set a fire on the North Carolina, and he immediately repairs it. So it's sticking with a high explosive, and he's angled, so armor piercing wouldn't accomplish very much in this case anyway. And now just continuing. I am reversing a little bit. I did get unspotted, but I don't want him shooting at my last known location. So it's just a generally good idea to keep yourself moving, even when you're parked behind an island. And 2 fires that the North Carolina won't be able to repair. Pretty good start, and since he's the only one in my sort of field of view, I'll just continue focusing him down. I don't want to pull out broadside in front of all the ships in the enemy spawn. Getting rather unlucky with the fire chance after this. I did get the 2 rearmost spots for fires, and there's a radar again. I think that's the Des Moines. You do have a Yamato, enemy Yamato, pushing up in towards B. And we'll get to him later. We'll deal with him later. And someone in chat lets us all know there's a BB coming up through the middle, and our Atago is already on his way back to maybe try and deal with him. Now I did consider turning around and punishing him at point blank range with armor piercing, but I figured that, well, it's fine. He's got an Atago. Atago has a good chance of getting torpedoes on him. He's probably going to be dealt with. And we also have a Montana up near D in North Carolina, north of A. So he's probably not going to be too much of a threat. I pull out, but I forgot that I had my rudder completely jammed to the right, so I immediately slow down and turn my rudder as fast as I can. It's a good thing that Moskva isn't looking at me, because that would have been quite a disastrous mistake for me to make. And as my shells land on the North Carolina, there's my arsonist and my 4th kill. This Moskva is showing his broadside to me, and you'll notice that I waited for my guns to reload, and then switch to armor-piercing because I am running expert loader, so it only takes 5 seconds. And I am able to land, I think that was 3 citadels on him, even though he was angled a little bit. And that's just because the Moskva's shell caliber is 220 millimeters, so it's a very heavy shell, very effective at punishing broadsides like that Moskva was showing. I'm pulling into their spawn, into their cap, and I'm just trying to see what kinds of targets are available for me to shoot at. And again, just creeping around this island. I tried to get a shot off at the Montana, but the island got in the way because of the flat arcs. And not very much luck on that one, just an overpen. But I'm moving forward. We do have the lead, so we don't want to commit too hard to a push. And yeah, we have a Yu-Yang, a Togo, and a Montana. We're going to try and deal with that, the Ibuki and the Yamato who pushed up through the center. And it should be fairly easy because they are pretty constricted as to their maneuvers. It should be theoretically kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm a little bit hesitant because there was the Montana that was heading in towards sea as well. And the Moskva's bow armor is actually only 25 millimeters, so that means a lot of gun calibers can overmatch it. Definitely the 16-inch guns on the Montana. So I don't want to be pushing into him and then just get deleted through the nose. Instead, I stick with the armor-piercing, firing on this Moskva, and he is very well angled, but I still land a citadel on him. He's just not angled enough. Again, keeping up the fire. And I'm getting some bounces and some penetrations, so I do eventually switch to high explosive. Because, well, the armor-piercing can do some damage, but it's sort of situational. I'm getting about 4K per volley, and I notice him turning away, so here's where I switch. Now, I think that Moskva probably popped his radar and spotted our Yuga because our Yuga just got sunk. And now that the Moskva is now actually pulling forward. Now, I was afraid for a second that he was just going to hide behind the island and block me from shooting at him, but it turns out he was only moving because of the torpedoes. And he is going to end up pulling all the way past that island and showing me a nice broadside to shoot at. Now I do decide that I'm going to switch to armor-piercing, and again, expert loader coming in handy, only takes 5 seconds. And I can't even see him, but I take the shot. And, well, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, because I pretty much completely missed. But now that I can see him, it's a fairly easy shot. There's 2 citadels, and he's dead. And there's my Kraken, actually. 170,000 damage done. And it looks like we're going to be able to pull into C. Now again, I don't want to rush Yamato, and it turns out the Montana actually went up to D along with the North Carolina. Now, I'm a little wary with this Des Moines and the Yamato in the channel, because the Yamato can overmatch through the nose. Des Moines, American armor-piercing, does lots of damage, and it has those American penetration angles, so even if you angle very well, you can still do damage. I've enjoyed trolling people with that in my own Des Moines. More videos on, or I'm going to put some videos up on the Des Moines at some point soon. There's a little bit of confusion in chat. One of my teammates only remembers the Yamato in the channel, and he's a little confused as to where the Des Moines is, but I tell him immediately the Yamato and the Des Moines are in the channel. So I'm just going to wait and take C before I push up, because you have to play safe. It's still 4 versus 4, and the enemy team has closed the gap to 130 points. So it's no use being reckless and putting the win at stake. Especially when our Yu-Yang is so low. And we did end up losing the Kurfürst that was sailing down here with me. So our Missouri's about half health. The North Carolina is about half. Yu Yang is very low. I'm at about half health. And they still have Montana at around, well, looks like 80% health. North Carolina is pretty healthy. Yamato is almost full. And I popped my radar because I want to be the first one to see what's going on in this channel. And it makes me very happy to see that the Des Moines is pretty much parked broadside on. So, of course, we load the armor-piercing. And we're going to teach this Des Moines a lesson. Now, the Des Moines is a very good cruiser, but the armor can be pretty weak. And if you show broadside to anything, you're going to get citadeled, even some destroyers. My radar runs out, but I already know where he is. I bounce his shells, despite the American armor-piercing's angles. And 2 more citadels, and he's done. Now we have a North Carolina. And he is also showing broadside, so I stick with the armor-piercing. Now, it is possible to citadel North Carolina at close range, and I bounce most of his salvo as well. And now that he's turning in, aim for the guns, the superstructure, the armor-piercing, and it's onto high explosive. Now, I did come to pretty much a stop, and I've decided to start moving forward again. I don't want to be a sitting target. And at this point, I really should be aiming at his bow because the 220 mil high explosive can pen the 32mm bow. I'm just going for the superstructure here. I'm not quite sure why. A little bit of a brain fart, but it's not too big a deal. After I finish this kill, I switch to the armor-piercing, and Yamato lands a lucky citadel on me. And again, you can citadel a Yamato in this thing, but you have to be at very close range, and RNG just isn't going to give me that opportunity. And a few more armor-piercing shells. We're at 994 points, 998, and we hit 1,000 just as his guns turn on me. Now that's a scary sight when you have 6 18-inch guns pointing straight at you at about 3 kilometers range. So let's take a look at the post-battle results screen. As you can see, this was played during premium time, so a lot of credits and XP. I earned Arsonist, Confederate, Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber. I actually ended up getting 7 kills with 210,000 damage. Now the team score as well ended up with 2,699 experience, so nearly 2,700. First on the team, of course. Now the detailed report. As you can see, almost 90,000 damage with the armor-piercing, so that just goes to show how powerful it can be when you use it correctly. And lots of damage to battleships, that Moskva as well, who showed me his broadside. Des Moines, North Carolina, Ognivoy, of course destroyers, the Moskva is also very good. And Yamato, Kagero, and Montana, just a little bit. And I tanked 82,000 damage. And the credits and XP, you can take a look for yourself. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you really managed to get the idea of how powerful the Moskva's armor-piercing can be, and why you shouldn't really show on broadside, even a little bit. If you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button before you leave. If you have any feedback or suggestions, then make sure you leave those in a comment down below. If you want to see more videos like this, I'm going to start making them again. Then hit subscribe and check out my channel. I've been Ethan7878. Thank you for watching.